What if humans could control the weather? Not predict, not adopt it, but control it. In 1960, Lyndon B. Johnson said, "He who controls the weather will control the world." Was that just ambition or something more? Let's discover all throughout this video. Don't forget, you boy, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's go for this video. Today, geoengineering is one of the most controversial ideas in science. Some say it could save the planet, others believe it's already happening in secret. And in this video, we are gonna discover the real history of weather modification, the classified government documents, the science behind geoengineering, and the claim that go far beyond the evidence. And first comes first, the origins of weather control. The idea of controlling weather began long before climate change became a global issue. And in the mid-20th century, scientists discovered that clouds could be influenced by adding particles like silver iodide, a process known as cloud seeding. But things quickly moved beyond civilian research. For example, we've got Operation Popeye. Or Operation Popeye. I don't know what you call it, but I'm gonna call it Operation Popeye. During the Vietnam War, the US military launched a secret program called Operation Popeye. The goal? Extend the monsoon season, turn roads into mud, and disrupt enemy supply lines. And it completely worked, or at least partially, But when it became public, it sparked global concerns all over the world. Everybody was like, "Oh, whoa, hold on, what happened in there? Huh?" And then you've got the ENMOD Treaty. In response, the United Nations created the ENMOD Convention. And this treaty banned using environmental modification as a weapon of war. But where's the key detail? It didn't ban the research, and it didn't ban peaceful use. So, that's where they have that gap that they can use, And then we just got some declassified documents and government interests. And in this, over the years, multiple documents have been declassified showing government interest in weather modification. In between, in the 60s, we've got multiple weather modification reports. For example, declassified US government memos from the 1960s show growing investment in weather modification research. They discussed increasing rainfall, suppressing storms, and even influencing large-scale weather systems. And these documents don't prove global control, but they do prove serious interest. And literally, when you look at all the catastrophes, the natural catastrophes that happen in this country in here, yeah, damn, literally Florida almost every year gets hit with a hurricane. You've got even California that gets hit every year with like literally fires upon fires. You've got the middle of the country that gets hit with tornadoes. You got the north that gets hit with major snowstorms. So literally everywhere you go in the US, there's gonna be major natural disasters happening almost every year. So in a way, I understand that they're doing the research into that, And then when it comes to the CIA and the intelligence assessments, there are also declassified intelligence assessment discussing the strategic value of weather modification, its potential use by rival nations, and the need for continued research. And what's truly important in here, these documents show concern and exploration, and it's not an evidence of operational global control. And then we've got the Air Force study in 1996. In 1996, a US Air Force research paper titled "Weather as a Force Multiplier: Owning the Weather in 2025 explores future possibilities." And now we are in 2025, so you're gonna tell me that people are already controlling the weather? I don't know. It described hypothetical capabilities like creating artificial weather patterns, disrupting enemy systems, and also enhancing battlefield conditions. But here's the key. It was only a theoretical study, not an active program. Then you get to the modern geoengineering science. And today, geoengineering is mostly discussed in the context of climate change. Stratospheric aerosol injection. One of the most studied ideas is stratospheric aerosol injection. The concept is simple. You spray particles into the upper atmosphere, reflects sunlight, and then it all cools down the planet. And then with the real world inspiration because it comes from the real world, the idea comes from real events like volcano eruptions, which naturally cool the earth. And Harvard is experimenting as well. Scientists even propose experiments like Scopex to study aerosols behavior, but due to public backlash and ethical concerns, it was never deployed. And so the question is, can we actually control the weather already? And here's the reality. Weather is one of the most complex systems on Earth. A single hurricane contains more energy than an entire power grid. And even today, we struggle to predict weather accurately, let alone control it. But then, let's talk a little bit now about the cloud seeding reality, because the cloud seeding can sometimes increase rainfall and reduce hail damage. But what it cannot do, create storms from nothing, control global weather systems, or steer hurricanes even. So, it's not helping out. And then when it comes to the HAARP, or the HAARP misconceptions, facilities like HAARP are often cited in conspiracy theories, but in reality it studies the ionosphere and its energy output is tiny compared to natural forces. It cannot control the weather basically. And where all the controversy is, one of the biggest controversy is the idea of chemtrails, that airplanes are secretly spraying chemicals. And what the science says, most scientists agree these are contrails, ice crystals formed from jet exhausts that spread depending on the humidity. And when it comes to the heavy metal claims, some claim rainwater contains unusual levels of metal, but studies show that these elements exist naturally in dust and in soil, and they are also produced by industries. So it's nothing like out of norm, you know? And there is no consistent evidence linking them to secret spraying programs. And now let's talk about ethics and how the future might look like, because even without conspiracy theories, geoengineering raises serious concerns. For example, we can ask ourselves a couple questions. Who controls the climate? Who decides the temperature of the planet? Or what happens if something goes wrong? Because there are going to be risks. And for example, the risks are going to be changing rainfall patterns or damaging ecosystems or even creating geopolitical conflicts. And so if geoengineering stopped suddenly, temperatures could spike rapidly, and this is called termination shock, and it's one of the biggest fears. We should not be messing around, for example, the weather and controlling it, you know? So geoengineering is not science fiction. It's actually real research, but with no real risks right now. You know, maybe in the future, we never know. But for now, the risks are too big. There's just research into it. There's no real evidence that there's actual proof that they're actually really doing something. And history shows governments have explored weather modification. Science shows limited capabilities today, but there is no solid evidence of secret global programs controlling the weather. So the chance is still there though. The real question isn't whether we can control the weather, it's whether we ever should. And if you want more deep dives like this, don't forget your boy, like this video, subscribe to the channel, go watch all the rest of my videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.